I want to talk for just a couple of minutes about teachers in schools. First of all, before you have any opinions about a music teacher in a New York City school or any school, you spend a day following one of them around. You see what their day is like before you're allowed to have an opinion about them. I know when I used to have my Juilliard students do that, they usually had to leave before the final period and go home and immediately take a nap. They were so overwhelmed by the sheer enormity of material that a teacher deals with in a day, the number of problems, the immensity of the difficulty, the constraints that teacher is dealing with, just the personal frustration. I mean, these are musicians, people who love music, and the usual opportunities they're given to sort of express their love and bring young people in, they're so constrained, they're so difficult. It's a brutally hard job. So you're not allowed to have any attitude till you spend a serious load of time beside them discovering what they have to do. One thing I noticed in the early 80s as teaching artistry really was growing up as a field, there was some real hostility in the early years between teaching artists and school teachers, particularly music teachers, because teaching artists were coming in with a lot of attitude. They were coming in, I'm the artist, I'm here, now let's go. And first of all, this person was feeling disrespected, was feeling disconnected. Who is this person coming in, doing a bunch of peppy stuff that the kids sort of like, but leaves the work of the school in a worse place for having been there? They're disrupted, they're disorganized. Over years, and teachers were worried that teaching artists might be a cheap way to replace them, they found out that that's not really happening, that in fact teaching artists are a real support for school teachers, or should be, and that in fact if you sort of get a partnership going, both sides gain. Often it takes an attitude adjustment on the teaching artist's part to realize that to some degree your work is there to support the work that's happening in that school, not to just be a regular highlights show, that it's better for the kids if you are working together. Now what we find is some other things happen. If you both sides commit to really listening, planning, and working together, some other good things start to happen. Number one is that desperately isolated teacher starts to get fed by your artistry, your passion, your imagination for what can happen and what you can do. That this person comes back to life. And God, that's a gift to somebody who really needs it. And by the way, this person has a whole lot of information that you could learn to use about what works with kids, where kids' artistic interests are at different age levels, how to be effective in the classroom. They're really good at going in there and getting a classroom to work fast. The number one concern most new music teaching artists have is, how do I control the classroom? And there's fear, I have to be a disciplinarian, or I have to be rigid, or I have to know certain rules. Learn from this person. How do you use engagement to make a classroom work? This partnership also is an embodiment of advocacy for music within that school community. The more powerful you work as a team, the more music learning that is going to happen in that school this year and the subsequent year, and in the identity of that school. So that's why you want this team to work so the administration gets excited, which gets the parents excited, which starts to change the identity of art in this school. Yes, you have that power. If you can create a dynamic working partnership, it grows. I've almost never seen it fail, even with the squelching tendency of school administration. If aliveness and learning is happening, you can start to change not just the lives of those kids, but what that school thinks of as the way music lives in its school. So really dedicate yourself to the humble listening and getting to know that teacher, finding ways that you synergistically work together, and support every idea that teacher has. He really needs you there.